You know
Well,
what I mean? As far as things you're paying attention to in the world, what do you see? Because it's always good to hear something other than the nonsense that that
well,
you
dude.
have to gather to keep up with current events.
Well, yeah, I've kind of collapsed my periscope on what I choose to pay attention to and focus on, and I think that's probably healthy to do for me and a lot of other people. But uh, so I'm isolating what my concentration on things that really are important to me. And unfortunately, I was doing me and Jason Patrick were doing the weekly or the daily updates regarding the second set of trials out in Oregon, and basically every day after court we would get on Skype and I'd record about an hour, and he would fill the audience in on what was going on. And so anybody who's been following the Jason Patrick project, that's on the podcast. But unfortunately, last week a verdict did come back from the jury. Uh,
Mm.
so the verdict came back. Now, what people really need to understand about the second set of trials is uh, this time the judge or the courts or the state or whatever thought that it would be a good idea to set some type of a precedent and simultaneously have a felony case happening with a misdemeanor case. And of course, the defendants were denied a right to a jury trial on those misdemeanors. The judge even stated in open court that she did not know if they get the right to a jury trial or not, but if they did, she wouldn't even give it to them. Okay, so we kind of know where Judge Brown's thinking was from the beginning regarding these guys, you know. Uh,
Mm.
and so
Now, for anybody who might have forgotten, let's go back on this just a little bit. We are talking about the incident in Oregon where the wildlife refuge. This is what everybody remembers anyway. The wildlife refuge was sort of taken over by a group of individuals who were self-described patriots. One of them was Jason Patrick, who was in with the group. I dare say was not a leader among the group. Okay, but this definitely ties back to the Bundy situation and all that. And in case people are not quite getting the references here
yeah,
and maybe have forgotten who Jason is, because I'm telling you right now, I mentioned his name to some people and they don't remember what he's tied to anymore because there's been no real coverage of the second trial ever since the acquittal of others based on some really interesting grounds and the deal making of some others. Uh, Nobody really paid all that much attention to this second round of trials, Daniel.
yeah, man. See what that YouTube attention span is doing to people? It's messing
Mm,
them up, dude. Yeah, the Oregon ref. Yeah, everybody remembers the mainstream media paid it out to be like it was a siege, which was nothing. It wasn't. That resembled the truth in no way. But
right.
The Bundys, who most people know them, Ammon Bundy, Ryan Bundy, and all that, they had their round of trials a few months ago, and they were all acquitted. Okay, not guilty, which that was fantastic. I mean, everybody knows I didn't agree with everything that happened at the refuge, but I thought that was a good win. That was a plus, you know.
Well, no,
Um,
look, neither one of us agreed with the methodology utilized, but understood
mm,
the general point that was being made. Okay, I think that's a fair statement to make. But quite honestly, I'm a little shocked at the fact that Jason got treated the way he did
hmm
because I would have thought, the courts would have been a whole lot more likely to seek to incarcerate Ammon and these other guys way ahead of Jason Pat. I thought, it was a given that they were probably going to dismiss charges against him because they had already lost the case as far as I was concerned. I mean, how is it in the same incident you can turn around and convict some people but not others? Very weird thing happening here,
well,
Daniel.
that's it. Yeah, it is, and I think that after the acquittal of the first guys, the state was like, you know, we have got to get some pound of flesh for this. We cannot let this incident pass without some blood on the slate, man. Some people
Mm,
behind bars, because if they were to get acquittals all across the board, what is that going to say to other activists out there who, you know, are just as frustrated with the government as they were? What's going to happen next? What armed protest is going to happen? And I'm not making a commentary on that. Okay, I'm just examining the psychology of people out there. When is the next armed refuge going to happen? Takeover going to happen? And what level is it going to be taken to? You know, these are questions that pop up, and I think the federal government was like, we've got to do everything that we could think of to get some convictions here, no matter what, to balance things out. And so the introduction of these misdemeanor charges in the second round of defendants was, I think that was an obvious attempt. Because here's the deal, dude. The jury was aware of the first round of acquittals, but the judge would not allow the jury in this round of trials to know that not only were the defendants facing felony charges, but they were also facing misdemeanor charges. So when the jury was deliberating and listening to evidence, they didn't know that. Okay? And so in their minds, I can see them as Oregonians going, okay, look, we need to make some type of a statement here and let people know that it's not acceptable to just go into a building or whatever and take it over. So, I could see that, okay? I haven't seen any interviews with jurors stating that. I could just see that happening and hoping to give them a minimum sentence or something. But if the jury had known that regardless of if the jury acquitted them or not, Judge Brown was going to throw something at them, no matter what, I think that would have changed the outcome of it. But where it stands is all of the defendants were found guilty of at least something. Jason was found guilty of conspiracy to impede. He was also found guilty on some of the misdemeanors, but I haven't gotten the exact charges yet. And sentencing was going to be held in May. Now, when yesterday, whenever Judge Brown read the verdict of the misdemeanor trials, they insisted that until sentencing, Jason Patrick be fitted with an ankle monitor. So it had been his plans, as far as I know, and on our public discussions, that he was going to come to Georgia, for a minute. He was allowed to do that, visit his children, come and visit me, and then go back to face sentencing. And so they wanted to fit him with an ankle monitor, and Jason, being Jason Patrick, refused. And so as of yesterday, Jason Patrick was taken into custody to begin a sentence, which carries a maximum of 10.5 years, with an appeal process that is going to take no less than 2 years.
Right. Now, the first way that I read it looked like 6 years was the way that it might. You give us the maximum, but it looked like theoretically he could walk out in 6 years without any victory in appeal or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that right?
It's in that ballpark. I've seen that the maximum is 10.5, but they're looking anywhere between 6 to 7 and 7.5, with 5.5 already served. So. Yeah,
that's what I thought, is that it was 6.5, and then since he had already served a half a year, that would be where it would go. But look, I understand the situation to some degree, but when we put it in context with the fact that where is the coverage on the charges in Nevada, right? What's happening there? Because a lot of the people that got off in Oregon were still facing charges in Nevada over the Bundy Ranch thing, which is connected because of the Bundys themselves.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
I mean, if you hadn't, but because like I was saying, where will this go if there's acquittals across the board? Well, you wouldn't have had a Malheur Refuge protest if the Bundy standoff hadn't have propelled that. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, that's exactly my point. And now what's happening, though, is that all of it is coming back, and I think it is very much. I don't know what it's done, but I do remember when there was no immediate response from the courts to the Bundy standoff. This did embolden people to get more active, and I think that might have actually led to part of what happened up in Oregon, because there wasn't an immediate bunch of arrests and charges and this and that, and people having to deal with this long process of defending themselves. That didn't happen, so I think they were kind of emboldened by it. But now we're watching it all get reeled back in, it looks like. And I'm wondering if anybody's going to escape without, without
Yeah,
being made an example of. I mean, what do you think of that?
yeah. I mean, that was my first thoughts too. Is these convictions here, it most certainly is going to have an effect when the Bundys get to Nevada, on and the jury sees all that. It's going to have an effect, and might not be pretty. It might not be pretty for
Hmm.
those guys. So I don't know. I mean, before after I talked to Jason after the verdict was read, he's a spiritual guy. He has his faith, and he said, well, if there had been no conviction, then there would be no possibility of an appeal process. He said, so, he's content that he's being guided in that direction because with the appeals process, I guess you can go higher into the courts and all that. So he's accepted that that's kind of the path that he's on. I mean, it's not like he's got a choice now, right? Um, so yeah, but yeah, it's going to have an effect in Nevada.
Hmm.
It's gonna have an effect on whatever is left of the liberty movement or whatever. Most certainly, you know.
Well, I think it already has because there's been quite a chill, and there's also been the bleeding off of people thinking that somehow, and here I go bringing it up, that somehow the outsider election of Trump and the move to the right that the electorate took in 2016,
Yeah, the show goes
uh,
on, bro. The show goes
yeah.
on.
But the funny thing is that there are people that have actually stated to me that they think that there was some kind of victory here because and these are people that called themselves patriots before
Mm.
because all of a sudden, gee, the GOP has greater control over this mess. And I'm having a hard time understanding that. I get it that a lot of the people that agreed with Ron Paul on a lot of stuff were liberty-minded people, and Ron Paul was a GOP candidate. I get that. I get that he was, a standard classic kind of conservative in a way, and I get that this sort of swims together. But what I don't get is how they think that somehow before they weren't being represented or the people's wishes weren't being represented by this, nonsensical electoral process. But now they are because people that they agree with a bit more got in. So somehow that's a victory. I think that got some of the very shallow thinkers out of the game. I think that some people were terrified out because there might be legal ramifications for it.
Yeah.
I think that because no media is paying attention to this at this moment, there's that contingent that really liked the attention. Okay, and that there were people like that in the movement
Oh yeah.
that really like the attention that are gone as well. I think that actually it's a pretty successful bleed out of the patriot movement here is what I'm watching, and I know that sounds kind of harsh,
Yeah.
but
Well,
am I out of line?
no, dude. I mean, and as a result of the Oregon standoff, dude, that's why I hung up my activist spurs in that arena. Because I said, no, you don't fish in the desert, and you know what I mean.
Right.
So, now that don't I'm not when I say that I don't mean that the whole move for freedom and personal liberty and all that you should just give up on it. No, it in my particular path, it's moved into more metaphysical and consciousness based rather than physically showing anything. You know, so that's just me. But in my opinion, what kind of started with the Ron Paul revolution and physically manifested as a swath of activists that wanted to restore the republic. Nah, it's not going to work that way anymore. It's especially after this. It's just not going to work anymore.
So that means that exactly what I said a few years back is going to be required. There's going to need to be some innovation here, and I'm hoping that the up and coming generation sees this and understands that if they are interested in preserving any semblance of their own freedom, that they're going to have to go about it in a different way. What do you
Yeah,
think?
absolutely. Yeah, it's going to have to come from a different place. Within. It's got to come from within. But before we do get too short on time, I do want to give some contact information out there in case people want to write or help Jason out, if that's okay.
Oh no, absolutely. Because I'll tell you that regardless of any disagreements I had with actions over this and that and the third thing, and whatever people might perceive. I mean, I've actually had people thinking that I was saying bad things about Jason. I'm absolutely supportive of him as an individual.
Yeah.
Okay, and think that he has been unjustly incarcerated in this case, and he has been unjustly treated by the system in many others. So I want to make that very clear, first of all, from my own point of view. So absolutely, any information you want to give, for contact or for people to keep up with the story or to get in touch with him or help him out,
Yeah.
absolutely, brother, go.
All right. And guys, I do want you to know, I mean, I know him personally, so I'm going to be in this for the long haul. But imagine if somebody that your dad or your brother or your son is put into a cage and probably won't come back out for another 10 years. You'd want to do something to let them know that you're there and to give them some type of hope. So if you guys want to mail Jason, excuse me, it's Jason Patrick. The number is his inmate number is 795-104. The address, I suppose, is 11540 Northeast Iverness Drive, Portland, Oregon 97220. If you want to email him, it's letterstojason620@gmail.com. Those get printed out and they'll be sent to him. And if you want to call him directly, I suppose you go to www. Are you supposed to still say that anymore? Or you just say the website?
I don't think we need the W's anymore, but go ahead.
My bad. Sorry. You go to touchpaydirect.com, and that's the commissary. Also, there's a GoFundMe /Jason Patrick, and those funds help his family out and help him out, to get commissary. I would urge people to please go to that GoFundMe account and put something in there, man, because being in jail sucks. Being in jail without commissary sucks balls. It's bad. So, help him out. And me and his sister are going to be working together. We're going to figure out how I can still get weekly or monthly updates from him via Skype while he's in there, but that'll be down the road. Obviously, they need time to adjust and process what's going on as well as he does. But don't forget about this guy, man. This guy was out there doing stuff for your rights and your freedoms that you have no clue about, and he meant it from the heart. And he was willing to go to jail for it. And so don't forget about this guy. I know he's going to be doing the appeals thing. So all you legal heads out there, any of you paralegals or liberty activists that go through Shepherd citations, get on the ball and help him build something for an appeal. So that's what I got to say about Jason, man. He's a good guy, and he really, really believes in this stuff. And I think he's unjustly behind bars too, man. It was a series of events that got him there, but at the end of the day, he didn't really, in my opinion, commit any crime. I don't see it.
No, exactly. Look, this guy is not dangerous to anybody except those that would seek to take away your personal liberty without any explanation or justification. That's the only person he's ever been dangerous to, is people like that, and the people that want to slip things by you without having you be informed, stuff like that. This is exactly who Jason Patrick is and has been for quite some time. So no, definitely. And the only thing is, I say at all times, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? When it comes to trying to help somebody out when they're in a position like this, but you just laid it out. So good. Can you just spell the name of the street there for people? Because, give that address one more time if they want to write to him directly. And spell the name of the street.
Yeah, the street is 11540 Northeast Inverness, Inverness Drive. And that's in Portland, Oregon. 97220 is the zip. And the email is letterstojason620@gmail.com.
There we go. Because I'll tell you what, even if it's not $1, a contact, letting them know that you appreciate what he did or whatever else, or that you're even at least thinking of him at some point in time.
Yeah.
Could do a whole world of good for a guy who was trying to do a world of good for you.
Yeah, and if you guys weren't privy to it, you can go to downloadedcontent.com and under the podcast, if you isolate the ones that say Jason Patrick update, we did an update as the trial was happening. It was about an every 2-day thing, and you can go back and listen to a blow by blow of what was happening in the courtroom. If you want to familiarize yourself with what exactly happened.
Well, there you go. And yeah, we are running low on time, but definitely glad that you interjected that into it. Of course, downloadedcontent.com is your site. The Jason Patrick Project is usually what I see you release stuff under over there, but there are these audio updates with him going through the trial, and definitely, if you guys haven't been paying attention, it is there.
Mm-hmm.
Downloaded Content Podcast. Downloaded Content.com.